The French Revolution was a bloody war that has some well-known events and also some events that not everybody knows about. Some events before the Revolution were the financial crisis and the Estates General of 1789. The financial crisis involved King Louis XVI coming into the throne during a financial crisis. The nation was coming close to bankruptcy. Necker, the newly appointed Director General of Finance, realized that the country's tax system gave some people an unfair burden. Many exemptions existed for the nobility and the clergy. He argued that the country could not be taxed higher, that the nobles and the clergy should not be exempt from taxes, and suggested that borrowing money would solve the country's financial problems. The king quickly refused, and Necker was fired. The States General was organized into 3 estates: the clergy, the nobility, and the rest of France. The Committee of 30, a body of liberal Parisians, began to agate against voting by estate. This group, largely composed of the wealthy, argued that the ancient precedent was not sufficient because the people were sovereign. Some causes of the French Revolution were political and social inequalities, bankruptcy of the government, influence of the Enlightenment, the American Revolution, and food scarcity in the years immediately before the Revolution, where food shortages were compounded by a great scarcity of food in the 1780s. Different crop failures in the 1780s caused these shortages, which soon led to high prices for bread. Some quotes of different parties are, "By his look alone, I die innocent of all the crimes laid to my charge. I pardon those who have occasioned my death, and I pray to God that the blood you are going to shed may never be visited on France." A quote by Henry Edgeworth said moments before he died. Another quote is, "The surest way to remain poor is to be honest." Famous quote by Napoleon.
After the National Assembly was formed, the members took an oath called the Tennis Court Oath. The Tennis Court Oath stated that the members of the Assembly would not stop fighting until a new constitution was formed. The National Assembly spirit spread rapidly throughout France. By this time, the French Revolution seemed inevitable. This period of time in which France was on the brink of war was known as the Great Fear. In August, the National Assembly established the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. This document established a judicial code throughout France. Although you would think that since the National Assembly had written and passed a new constitution, that France would slowly adjust to this change and that peace would spread throughout the land. The time of peace was short-lived. The split between the moderate and radical members only grew bigger and bigger, until it seemed that there was no chance of agreement. When King Louis XVI's escape plot failed, the tension between the parties only grew. The radicals wanted to overthrow the king, while the moderate members wanted the constitutional monarchy to stay as is. Thus, the Reign of Terror began. In 1793, the convention tried and executed Louis XVI for convictions of treason. When the citizens finally overthrew the moderate members, now known as the Grandees, the war ended, beginning France's recovery period.
After France's greatest war in time was over, France went into an empire rule under Napoleon, who ruled from 1799 to 1821. Under his rule, France went into a time of military having more control over the country, opposed to the throne. Since 1789, the French government has been parliamentary and constitutional, or parliamentary system, which Napoleon developed and inherited. But in 1789 to 1799, democracy failed due to apathy in elections. Nominations for offices became common before Napoleon could make anything systematic. On August 26, 1789, the document Declaration of Rights of Man was created. Though this document was aimed at shifting the authority of issuing basic human rights from the church, or God, so to say, to the state government. The king's crown, that was a symbol of the Catholic Christianity, was replaced with a red liberty cap that represented the state as authority. In the same year, the National Assembly of the new Parliament seized all the church's lands to further suppress region and enrich itself. Also, an end was put to all the kinds of religious orders and monastic vows. Though the civil constitution of clergy, the government took direct control over the religious proceedings and took the authority of selecting pastors and bishops who were to take oath under the new government. All those priests who refused to take oath under the new government were arrested and banned from operating underground chapels.